Hello. Okay, so today, really quick, I know my last video was a long one. It wasn't my longest video I've ever had, but I'm also sorry about the glare. It is just a really rainy, stormy day today, and it's like 5 in the afternoon, evening, I guess, and there is like no, no natural light right now. So this is what we get. I'm gonna make this video a little bit quicker. I know my last video was long and I felt like it was cohesive, but it was also, obviously other than like a weekly plan with me, I don't do a lot of like plan with me type things or plan as I go. I do find them to be a little bit difficult for me sometimes. I find they're fun, but they also can be a little bit draining for me, I find. When I do like flip throughs or like when I did my setup video, that was fun. I did enjoy that. But I don't know, that just felt a little bit different than like planning on the paper, I guess, if that makes sense. And so trying to figure out my goals without having thought about it ahead of time, like full on, was fun, but also draining. And I just don't know if it's, I've already kind of decided I don't know if I'm gonna do a lot of weekly plan with me's. I think what I might do personally is maybe more flip through styles. And then like, I don't know, maybe things like that. I'm not 100% sure. But I've just been having fun, and I don't even know, like my channel, I know my last several videos have been planner related, but I'm not technically in my mind a planner channel, but I mean, I know it's what I've been doing lately because I've been having fun with it. But anyway, I say all of that to say this is part 2 of my MakseLife meets Hobonichi series, if you will. In my last video, if you have not watched it, I will link it below. But if you have not watched it, it was just me kind of explaining how I use MakseLife, the MakseLife goal system. And a little bit of the HB90 system, although I didn't really talk too much about that. I will show that when I kind of film like my actual like kind of setup that I have so far in this. In fact, do I want to just do that now? Maybe I'll do my setup in this too. But I feel like I won't. I think I'll save that for its own little other video. Just because I want to keep this with like the MakseLife theme. So I will skip over all the things that I've stuck in here so far. And instead, I will show you my MakseLife goal spread that I put in here. And just for reference, I know I showed it in my last one, which, by the way, today is March 31st. This was my last day in here. I have filled this up crazy. And I will be filming a flip through of this, probably at some point this next week. We are winding down with our Lenten season, and it's getting kind of busy. So I don't know when I'll have a few moments. Probably Saturday, honestly, is when I will film the flip through of this. However, let me show you my, in case you missed my video, my last video, and you don't want to go and sit through it, which I don't blame you because not everyone's into hour-long videos, and that's okay. Okay, so this was my last year's MakseLife spread, and it was the first one I ever did. And the way I did it was I put my word of the year in the middle there, kind of in like a little cloud. And then I drew these fun little arrows in the MakseLife color code, and I put my goals. And I would kind of do like-minded, like start hygiene routine. And then I would draw an additional line. So like this would have been a main goal that had like the little arrow attached. And then just a connecting line to like skin, hair, teeth, and nails. Like that was where I wanted to focus my hygiene, which on one level, where else would you focus your hygiene? But there you go. Rhythm and routine consistency, that was pretty general. It is funny. I have a lot of these same ones. Well, a few of them, with some of these. I'm trying to think of another one. Okay. Like day trips. I did South Hills, Sun Valley. I did, to kind of give me ideas. So this was what I did. All of the highlighted pink is, and then some of them also have check marks. That symbolizes what I either got better at or accomplished. So I just highlighted those things so I could keep track, which it's not everything on there, but I still think it's kind of fun that, I mean, still a lot, I think, so good. So, so this was cool. And yeah, so that was my idea, that I did for the, well, I'm sorry, not my idea. In fact, I got the idea I mentioned in the last video, but from a YouTube channel called Peace, Love, Plan, and Read. But this was my first time doing something like that in a planner. So that was kind of how I did it that time. This time around, let me find it so I can just flip right to it. This time around, I did the same thing. I thought about doing something kind of fun. My word for the year is cultivate. And so I kept thinking like a garden. So I thought about doing like watercolors and trying to, also, I feel like I've said like 30 times, forgive me. But I thought about doing watercolors and making a flower garden, and each flower could be one of the colors of the MakseLife goal categories. And then I could just write like my goals in the petals. I thought about doing that. I'm like, oh, that would be fun to film. But the more I thought about it, the more I was just like, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to create on camera for this again. And like I mentioned earlier, today was a really rainy, gray day. It was chillier than it's been the last few days. And it just honestly felt like a day that I just wanted to have a quiet afternoon and play in my new planner. And so that's what I did. I didn't watch any videos. I didn't listen to anything. I just sat there with all of my papers that I was scribbling on in the last video and reorganized them, reorganized my thoughts into a more simplistic, you know, I don't know what you would call it, vision board or spread or inspo board or whatever, just my goal board, I guess, for MakseLife in this new spring start 2025 Hobonichi Cousin. So with that, without further ado, I'm going to show that. Well, and I guess just to finish my thought, I really did enjoy just making it without a camera on. Honestly, it was really great, and it was fun, and I like doing that. And so sometimes I get a hankering to like create on the camera, and then a lot of times I also just honestly feel drained afterwards. So there have been several videos I've actually filmed and ended up not even posting because I'm like, I just didn't enjoy that. It just felt kind of long, and again, I don't mind long videos every now and then, but it just felt I don't know, just wasn't my thing, I guess. And so those are going to probably be few and far between. I've been repetitive now for like 5 minutes, so 7 minutes it looks like. So here we go, without further ado, boom. This is this year's, let me get it in frame. This is this year's MakseLife themed goal, you know, category. I don't know what sound I just made. Goal category breakdown or whatever for the year. And I use the MakseLife markers and dot markers, which I don't have with me. I actually left them out in the living room, which is where I was doing this, but I had so much fun. You can see, I drew it in first. This I just drew freehand. You can probably see, like, I drew with pencil the lines, and I didn't erase them before I colored them in. And so you might be able to tell, like there's still a pencil mark there. But that's okay. So, it's fine. I love the way it looks. It's me. And so I'm just going to go through them really quick and share what my goals are, based off of, that last video. So this is the more cleaned up version, and how I incorporate them into my, Hobonichi. And also I will show this. So I only put in, I think I showed in my last video that I made these on Canva, these monthly goal sheets with on the front is or are the MakseLife goal categories and their colors, so I can break these goals. Well, I don't want to show right now. I guess I'll show the first one because I kind of already did. I'm going to break down these goals from here into my quarterly. So try to make these a little bit smaller and add them in here. And then I'm going to take these quarterly goals and add them onto these monthly sheets. And what I did with the monthly sheet is I've only taped April's in just because I kind of want to go one at a time. And that's what I did in my previous, the 2024 Hobonichi. I just found it easier. I did it for, I think it was 6 or 7 months, I said. And it was great, but I don't know. Part of the fun of the Hobonichi is I feel like it's really easy for me to experiment with it and to change up what I'm doing. And so who knows, this might work for a couple of months and then maybe I'll just be like, I don't want to do this sheet anymore. So I'm just going to kind of see how it goes. So for now, it's just one sheet at a time. So anyway, this first sheet, this is where I'll break down those kind of quarterly plans for my April or from my monthly goals. And then on the back this is more related to something my writing group is doing. So I won't really get into that. It's just kind of my own thing. But some of these will also go in these categories as well. The whole year is really just about cultivating. I just want to grow in areas and develop in areas and nurture different areas and just really feel more holistic and whole and, not necessarily put together and not necessarily in control, but, because obviously that's unattainable, but I guess just a little bit more, not cohesive either. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess, yeah, like I said, holistic. I guess I just want to feel more, just like I want to feel like everything's kind of working together, if that makes sense. And a big part of that is cultivating more of my like spirit, soul, mind, and body, as opposed to even my work that I'm doing and stuff like that. I want to grow in that area. Excuse me. I want to grow in that area too, but I'm just trying to focus in these other areas. So anyway, moving on. All right, so we're going to start with creativity. Oh, I didn't even explain that. Okay, so MakseLife has the categories, right? So personal, fun and recreation, work and learning, family and relationships, health and wellness, spiritual, which is spiritual and personal growth, which their personal growth is different from their personal. And it makes sense on paper. Because for me, I just use this as personal and this is spiritual. Financial and physical environment, which can be your home environment, your work environment, whatever, right? Your outside environment. So what I did, however, because I'm focusing on the word cultivate this year, last year my word was courage. And I felt like I had never had a word that I consciously applied as much as I did last year. And I felt like it really showed up for, like, courage showed up for me, right? Like I really felt like I walked in courage a lot more, stepped out in courage a lot more. And I purposely thought about ways I could apply courage in my monthly goals. In fact, that's another thing I'll show for my old one. I know I'll do a flip through, like I said, but, in some of these, let me find an example. Let me find a new month. In some of these, I had like, the courage to go. So like July, I wanted to have like an additional word to like a monthly word to go with my own word. So I wanted the courage to go. And then I named all of these like silly things, like, and I'll explain this in my flip through, but like, this is actually a fun one to flip through, like Pokemon go to the polls. I just called them different things. Like it was dumb, but anyway, dumb in a fun way. I like it. It's quirky. It's fun, whatever. But also, gosh, now I feel goofy too for saying like, I'm quirky. That's not what I mean, but you know what I mean. Okay. But anyway, so I would have like a theme word to try and go with my overarching word. So that was kind of the idea there. So I did that with a lot of months. And that was what I decided to do this time around was instead of having a monthly focus word that went with my main word, I decided to actually focus on cultivating one particular word or trait or, idea, concept within each category itself. So instead of writing personal here, I wrote creativity. I want to cultivate creativity. That's kind of my main focus within the personal category, if that makes sense. For fun and recreation, I want to cultivate adventure. For focus, I want to for work and learning, I want to cultivate focus. For family and relationships, I want to cultivate culture, specifically like what I mean is our family culture. And I kind of talked about that a little bit in my last video. where we only have a couple more years where my son is in his childhood years. He's 10 this year, and he turned 10 back in November. So he's almost 10 and a half, or, he's getting there. And we just really want to take this next year and a half, 2 years to really hone in on just our family culture and other things too. Like, we want to keep that childhood wonder alive, childlike wonder alive, and those kinds of things, but really just our family culture. Now is the time to, nip bad habits in the bud, to, rework our schedule and our rhythm and that kind of thing right now while he's in this still childlike phase before he enters into his adolescence. Not that you can't obviously change your family culture in for a teenager or anything like that. Of course you can, but we wanted to just really focus on these last couple of years of really solidifying that and just getting back into that. So really just solidifying our family culture. For health and wellness, I want to cultivate acceptance. For spiritual, I want to cultivate joy. For financial, I want to cultivate stewardship. And for our physical environment, specifically in our case, our house and home, I want to cultivate simplicity. So those are my focal words for each category for the whole year. So I'm really excited about that. It feels more simple to follow, and it feels like I don't need to come up with a new word every month. I've just got it. I've got it already. So I can just focus on these things. And by the way, I put my word in the middle, like I said earlier, and I put a little definition. So cultivate is ultimately means to nurture, to improve, to develop, to prepare, to refine. And all of that applies to all of this in different ways. So let's break it down really quick. This video will be much shorter than the last video, mainly because I need to go make dinner. But also I just didn't want it to be as long as the last one. So let's get going. So for creativity, which is the personal category, I want to focus on developing a routine/rhythm. Obviously this applies to my whole household, but also just for me personally in a lot of ways. Routine and rhythm with regards to my work, routine and rhythm with regards to my cleaning schedule, all that, right? I just need a routine. I'm very out of routine and I need a routine. I have a routine, but it's not the routine I want. I want it to be a much more intentional, fruitful routine. Next, I want to read 24 books. 12 fiction, 12 nonfiction. I did not write it on here, but obviously an additional task to this would be making my TBR list, with probably actually 48 books on it. My idea would be to have, 24 fiction options, 24 nonfiction options, and just keep a running TBR. Honestly, that's really all I need to do is keep a running TBR list of fiction, nonfiction, and later you'll see spiritual, and have those books going so that I can, because I'm not always in the mood for something I've written down, so I might change my mind or whatever, but just to have something to pull from. It doesn't have to be those books, but just that's the idea. I want to read at least 12 fiction books and at least 12 nonfiction books. Also down here, I have 12 spiritual books, which I'll get to, but something I didn't write is I also would really like to start reading and learning more about poetry. I might have to add that just because that is something that I want to work on, but obviously one thing at a time. Okay, I want to fill at least 2 sketchbooks. I want to rework my wardrobe. I want to, and again, some of these things I talked about a little bit more in detail in the last video. So if you want a little bit more background, just to keep it short, because otherwise I've already done it with those 2, and I'm like, I just need to get through it. So moving on again, rework my wardrobe. I want to go on 12 artist dates. And so I need to make a list of those. I want to have designated time for media consumption. This specifically means, and like this is something I didn't really talk about in the last video, so I will kind of elaborate here. This is specifically my media consumption with regards to like when I want to have downtime and watch a couple YouTube videos while I'm doing something. That's fine, but I want to have it more. It doesn't have to be like scheduled block for block, but more of a designated time or day where I engage with that media consumption a bit more, because I want to consume less and create more. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And specifically, mainly what I mean is YouTube. I don't particularly mean like listening to an audiobook or a fiction podcast or, reading or watching a movie even, to be honest. Watching a movie or TV, to me, that is in a way honing my craft. So same with reading a book. So in that regard, I'm consuming story. I don't mind that kind of consumption. I'm talking about like YouTube videos and film analysis videos and that kind of stuff, right? It's just like, I need less of that. So, and then finally, I want to start morning pages. Morning pages and the artist dates are from The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And I want to, obviously, I didn't write it down, but obviously I'm planning on picking that up back up again and kind of working through that book. Okay, moving on, adventure or fun and recreation, wanting to cultivate adventure. I only have 2 main things for this, which you might think like, oh, that's, shouldn't you have more? But no, less is more sometimes. I want to do more local activities, farmers, makers markets. There's a Renaissance fair, art, music, food, hobby events, things like that. I just want to do more. I have a lot of great memories of doing things like that with my family, going to like, home and garden shows and things like that, just local things. And I haven't been to our local fair, our county fair, in like the last 2-3 years. Heck, it might even be 4 years. And I just want to go. Like, it's been a while since I've gone, and I want to go. I want to bring my son. It's just fun. It's, it is what it is, but it's fun. And I just want to do more local things like that. And then I want to spend more time outside. This is really where that like adventure kind of comes in more, I guess, but spend more time outside, biking, hiking, camping, and kayaking. Those are the 4 outdoor things that I really love. Obviously, I also love walking. I was mentioning that I want to pick up jogging and or running. But that to me is more physical health stuff. This was more, biking's physical health too. All of this is physical health, but you know what I mean? Just more outdoorsy things in that capacity. Okay, moving on to work and learning, where I want to cultivate focus. I have kind of 4 areas here. So my admin, or just like my general business area. I want to utilize my website more. I want to streamline my email. I want to have a plan for how I use social media, if at all, because oh my gosh, it's so annoying right now. I want to track my finances better, and I want to start doing an actual newsletter of some kind. For editing, this is not editing my own work. This is editing as a freelance editor for other people. I want to renew my membership with the Editorial Freelancers Association, and I don't just want to, I need to. And I want to put together like a PDF that I can send to clients when I'm applying for their jobs. I just quite haven't found, I've had a couple jobs as an editor, but I just haven't found what really works for me yet. So I wanted to maybe put together something that, can be a bit more appealing to send out to clients when I'm applying. So that's that. For writing, I want to finish my serial Searching the Shadows. I want to finish the 1st season. I would love to get ahead and finish the 2nd season too, but, keeping it kind of achievable right now. I want to submit to an anthology. I'm actually working on the story for that right now. I want to post 6 nonfiction posts on my Substack. I want to edit. Also, I just realized that's probably kind of far away. I should bring that down a little bit. Sorry about that. I want to edit my novella that I wrote 2 years ago. I wrote it, and when I finally finished it, I have not touched it since. So I want to edit that. Actually, I'm planning on working on that when I go on my writing retreat in May. Okay, and then Etsy. This is kind of like my zine category, but I just called it Etsy. Normally, it would just be zines, but I want to maybe expand on a couple creative endeavors, and so I want to list 6 new zines on Etsy. Then I want to make and list 2 postcards and 2 greeting cards, and then I want to finish 2. I have a fiction zine that I am working on, but I only have 1 issue out, so I want to write 2 more issues of that. Okay, and then moving on to family and relationships, where I want to cultivate culture. We want to have more intentional family time. This includes dinner at the table 4 out of 7 nights a week. We want to lessen our overall screen time consumption as a family, and we want to have more quiet, cozy evenings. We also want to have more consistent homeschool. We've been really thrown off since my son was in public school this last semester, and after Christmas break, we returned home. Both because I was working at a public school as well, and we returned home after this Christmas break to do homeschool. And and then the whole year just started out wild. I started like that first week back after Christmas break. my son went to school and I went to work. But within that first week, a lot of things happened. We ended up, nothing like bad. We just ended up deciding that wasn't really where we wanted to be. It wasn't how we wanted our family culture to be anymore. We wanted to be back at home. And it was just becoming difficult for my son. He was becoming very bored. When you've been homeschooled most of your life and you get your stuff done in less than 2 hours a day, and then you're at school for 6 hours a day, you just kind of get bored after a while. He also has pretty severe ADHD, and it just was, he loved, the honeymoon phase was a good, good chunk of time, and he loved it. But after his first long break, he loved his teachers and he loved his friends. But after the first Thanksgiving break, it just kind of started going downhill. And then Christmas break did not help. So anyway, then we had some things happen with some friends of ours that went through a tough time. And then we had a pre-Lenten retreat at church, and then we had Lent start. It's just been wild. We have not found our footing with homeschool since coming back to it. And I just actually got some new workbooks that we're going to go through and do, and I'm so excited about them. We're starting those up this week. And so, yeah, we just want to have more consistent homeschool and then hone in on life skills specifically for my son. This isn't necessarily homeschool by any means, but I just put it under there. We just want to make sure while we want him to enjoy and have that childhood these last 2 years, we also want him to start really being able to be more independent as he's going into his teen years. And so that's just something we want to focus on as well. Then I've got designated days. This includes mom and Declan. My son's name is Declan. Mama and Declan time, daddy and Declan time, date night, and game night. My son and I are really great at our Mama Declan nights, but only because it's already built into the schedule because my husband has class that night. So for like 2 years now, Tuesdays have always been our Mommy Declan nights. And that's great. We'll keep that going. But we want to really implement a Daddy Declan night, which is going to be on Mondays. And that will be when I do some additional writing, writing creative time for myself. Or that might be time when I have my own designated media consumption time. But realistically, it'll probably be more work time. That's what I like it to be. And then date nights, we want to shoot for every Sunday. We can do those at home. They don't have to be going out, but just we want to have a designated time where we're doing something together, my husband and I, and then a family game night every Thursday night. So those are kind of our designated days, and we just want to really start implementing those. Moving on to the next page, acceptance. Cultivate health and wellness, cultivate acceptance. There we go. Mental health wise. And I guess I'll just explain this real quick. I don't really know if I've been explaining these. Maybe I should explain my thought process behind them. Creativity is self-explanatory, I guess. Adventure is probably also self-explanatory. Just, I want to be, makes more sense. I just want to have more fun, and be outside more. With writing, I have had the most fun I have had with writing ever this last year, especially. I'm just in love with what I do. And I've just loved these beginning years of working towards that as an actual career, and just my vocation, I guess. However, I do want some more direction. So I want to feel more consistent. I want to have more direction in what I'm doing and where I'm going. And so that's really a big thing here. And not all of these things have to do specifically with this, but a lot of them will also help me to reach this, I feel like, too. The more streamlined things are in my admin stuff, the more organized that is, the easier it is for me to focus on the fun part of it, right? And the more direction I have in where I want to go, the easier it is to focus on what I am doing creative-wise as well. And then I explained culture, what we want to do there. So for health and wellness, my word that I want to focus on is cultivate, my word that I want to focus on cultivating is acceptance. And this for me is acceptance, both more literal with regards to mental health, just accepting things I can't change, accepting that I, have some mental health things, accepting and just working through that. Really, though, just accepting things I can't control and learning how to just accept things. I don't know how else to explain it. And then physical, I want to accept more. I've said this before. I enjoy getting older, but I also feel like I want to accept start really accepting some of the like limitations that come with that. Also accepting the fact that I don't have to settle necessarily in those limitations so long as my body allows me. Well, the Lord allows my body to allow me to. But like, for example, I wanted to start running, and last week I ran a half mile, but really I jogged it, right? And so it's like, gosh, do I really need to focus on trying to become a runner? Or should I just accept the fact that maybe right now in this season, jogging is just where I'm at? And not put all of my effort into trying to run and be an actual like runner, but just not like Olympic runner, you know what I mean? But like, or should I just focus on, I'm comfortable with jogging right now, and maybe that's all I can do, and it's still exercise, and it's still a newer exercise to me. Just accept it. I started drinking. I used to drink at least 1 to 2 cups of coffee every day since I was 18 years old. So for the last 20 years now, I guess. But because I just turned 38. And I've been drinking coffee since I was 18. But back in September, got to a point where I felt like I could not drink regular coffee anymore. It was giving me jitters for the first time in my life ever. Even 18, I never had jitters. And it was just causing me like really bad anxiety. And so I started drinking. I drank decaf for like 2 weeks, and I hated that. So then I started drinking half calf, and that was a great happy medium. And now every now and then, like if I'm at a friend's house, I'll have a coffee and I'm fine. But when I'm just having my coffee in the morning, oh, cat popped up here. I don't know if you can see him. There he is. When I'm just having my morning coffee time, I just do half calf, and that's been fine. And it was kind of a bummer at first because I associate so much of everything with coffee. My morning time with the Lord with coffee, getting together with friends with coffee. And it felt like, but it's like I am getting older, and maybe I need to just drink half calf right now. Some people can drink regular caffeinated coffee into their 80s, but maybe I won't be able to. And so just learning to accept that and not fight those things. So anyway, mental health, restart my cognitive behavioral therapy workbook, and gain better control over cognitive distortions that I struggle with. Which by gain better control over, I just mean kind of acknowledge them, maybe study up on those cognitive distortions so that I can better recognize when I am engaging with those negative thoughts, and then having the tools, learning the tools to work through those thoughts, if that makes sense. And then for physical, I want to lose 28 pounds. I kind of explained this in my last video in more detail, which I forgot to add I added it in the description, but I felt bad because I was like, oh, maybe I should have added like a trigger warning in the actual, I'm iffy on how I feel about trigger warnings with certain topics, but I'm like, yeah, that can be a tough one for people. So I was like, yeah, maybe I should have included that there, but oh well. I added it in the description, so. But anyway, so there's that. I want to just have more movement, and I just realized I spelled movement. So we'll have to fix that right there. Movement. I want to eat more plants and whole foods and get a standing desk. Moving on to joy. We're at 33 minutes. I told you I wasn't going to make this one as long, so I'm going to hold true to that. We're getting through it. I want to cultivate in the realm of the spiritual. I want to cultivate more joy, specifically the Psalm, I think it's Psalm 50 that comes to mind. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. I started, like, maybe one day I'll make a like my spiritual journey type video. I really started getting involved in Christianity when I was 14 and have gone on quite the adventure within the realm of Christianity since then. And I've always loved it. I've always been happy. It's always been great. And the last couple of years particularly have been just very joyless for me in the area of spirituality. I am still very devout, still very involved in church. But I've just really struggled the last 2-ish years. I've missed a lot more church in the last 2 years than I think I have in the last 15, 10, I guess, however long. Well, no, 15, I guess. I've been going to church actively since I was 17. So anyway, it's just been a really difficult, there's been a lot of going through the motions. I feel like a lot of the joy of life with Christ for me as a Christian is gone. And I can pinpoint different things that have led to that, but the reality is all of that's gone now. All of that's in the past now, and I just am right here. So I don't want to focus on all of those past hurts and things like that. And I want to, because like with a lot of people, a lot of it might have to do with hurts caused by people, just, life circumstances changing. I also feel like I've been doing a lot of, I don't want to call it inner work, but like, and this is part of my like spiritual journey, is we converted to Eastern Orthodox Christianity about 7 years ago now. And there's been a lot of work being done for me internally that I just never dealt with prior to coming into Orthodoxy. And so I think that's also aided it as well, is just really coming to terms with a lot of my own struggles and, a lot of my own issues. And so a lot of joy's just been zapped. And I miss the joy. I always had a lot of joy with regards to my faith, and it's gone. Not entirely, obviously, but like I just haven't felt that for a long time. And so for me, I want to focus on the joy of salvation being restored. So there's two areas within that. There's the personal and there's the communal. The personal is I want to read 12 spiritual books. I want to make sure I'm getting in at least 1 hour of quiet time Monday through Saturday. Sunday, we're kind of up and getting ready for church early, so I don't always do it on Sundays. If I get to it, great, but at least Monday through Saturday. Morning and evening prayer rule. I do have my morning prayer rule, but it has also been and I've been doing that for a long time, but it also feels very just kind of like get it done, like get through it. Almost like rote memory at this point. And I just want to adjust that as needed so that it doesn't feel that way. And then I do not have an evening prayer routine. My family and I say family prayer together, but my own personal prayer time, I would like to have something personal in the evening time. And I spoke with my priest about this, and he suggested I do this as well, like just have an evening prayer rule. So I want to get that going. I want to go to confession once a month. And I just feel like that helps me stay on track a little bit better. I even briefly was like, do I want to do every 2 weeks? But I don't want to like overwhelm myself. So we'll start with once a month. And if I don't know, it'd be nice to do it more often than that. But I think once a month is good for me, especially because a lot of what I'm trying to also focus on this year comes down to month by month, like 12 books, obviously 1 book a month is the idea. In different areas, obviously 3 different books going at the same time, because I've always read like that. So that's fine. But like same with like a monthly writing goal I'm going to have, which I should have added something like that over here. Silly me. But I guess that's where these things will be broken down. Anyway, and then like monthly confession. So I'm really trying to plan month by month this year, just because I feel like that's easier for me than quarterly. I have some quarterly things that I'll flip through in a later video, but ultimately those quarterly things are ultimately just there so that I can break them down per month. So anyway, and then I want to start learning iconography, start practicing. I am a very amateur artist. One day I'll do a sketchbook flip through thing. I'm very amateur, but I want to start working on learning more about iconography and then practicing sketches of iconography and just seeing if it's an area that I feel like I might be able to grow in. So it's just something I wanted to try my hand at this year. And then communal, I want to be more organized and prepared in my roles that I have at church. I am the youth protection coordinator, which is a newer role that I'm taking on. I'm the Sunday school teacher. I kind of am over the benevolence ministry. And then also I'm in the choir. And I didn't write this down, but I technically help with the website as well. But I don't know anything. I literally just post the calendar. That's all I do. So I actually think I'm going to see if my priest can hand that off to somebody else. So I didn't write it down. So anyway, I just want to be more organized and prepared for those, when I have to do things for them. I just have felt very last minute with a lot of them, and I just don't like that feeling. And then I want to improve my church attendance. I already talked about that a bit. I also want to bring food to meals. We always have a meal after church on Sunday, and we always have a meal after Wednesday night as well. And it's always potluck style. Some days there's like a huge feast, and then some days like everybody just brought bread. It's not really like planned. It's just to break bread together, right? But I have been really, really bad at bringing things to that. And I'm just like, we have a lot of older people at our church, and it's getting harder for some of them to bring meals. And I'm like, I'm one of the younger folks. Like, I need to step up my game and actually start like filling that need. And just contributing in that way, even if it's just a bag of chips, right? Like, or a loaf of bread I got from the store. Like, even if that's all it is for now, like, I just want to be better at bringing something to those things. And then I want to just reach out more. I want to be better about reaching out on just even simple things, birthdays, anniversaries, names, days, checking in with people that I know are having a hard time. I used to be really good at that kind of stuff. I was never great at it, but I used to just be more aware of it, I guess. And I just, again, I think that has kind of come with this loss of joy. And so I love people. And I'm an introvert, but I love people. I'm a very empathetic person. And I just have felt like that's a part of me that I've just kind of let slide. And I miss it. Like, that's who I am. And so that's something as well. Okay. We are 40 minutes. I'm gonna try to get through this quickly because I will not get to an hour. I won't. I have to go make dinner. With financial, I want to cultivate stewardship. Stewardship, I feel like, is great for a lot of things. It covers a lot of things. It covers finances, but it also covers just general resources, possessions, our home even, and our property. By our property, I mean like we live in like a cookie cutter neighborhood where every house is like looks the same. So I don't mean like actual property, but like cultivating our little corner of the earth, right? Now I don't have that specifically in here. That I have more up here, but just being a better steward of what we have, the things that we believe God has given us, and also learning to view those things as belonging to God ultimately, and not ours, and not being possessive of those things. And just ultimately, though, being better with our money. God's money, because it's God's, right? Okay. Anyway, God forgive me. Wait, never mind. I won't get into that. I don't need to. I was gonna make a comment about a very popular financial advisor on YouTube who is in the Christian evangelical world, and just some of the things he said recently. But that's fine. He's helped a lot of people. We'll leave it at that. Okay. I want to read the book Living More with Less. I actually think I have that. No, I don't. It's somewhere over here, somewhere. But it's a book and I want to read more of it. Oh, here it is. It is, it's a, I want to say it's from like is it Mennonite or Methodist? It's just a book from the 80s, just talks about like more sustainable living, living below your means, not wasting food or resources, things like that. So I want to read that. We have a few debts, 2 credit cards, which I hate saying. We didn't have credit cards for the longest time, and in the last couple of years, oh my gosh. Anyway, pay off those. They're not crazy. We want to pay them off. And then I have a medical debt. That's actually coming out every month, and it'll be paid off in November, but I still wanted to just mark it down. It's automated, so I don't even have to think about it, but still, we want to pay it off. We technically also have our mortgage, but I just don't count that. Weekly budget meetings, we need to start scheduling those in, and we have to have them every week. We just have to. Use cash only when I'm out and about. Learn to live below our means. That's a very broad one, and I feel like I'll have more tangible things as I'm reading that book and just kind of, doing that. So I didn't write any extra things with that. And then menu plan. This could also come under like physical health. It could also come under simplicity regarding, or, your physical environment. But I put it here because a big part of, for us, eating out is so easy and it wastes so much money. So we want to make sure I'm menu planning, and Simply in Season, actually from the same group that makes this book, they have this awesome cookbook, World Community Cookbook, and it's called Simply in Season. I have all of the cookbooks from this group, and it's spread out seasonally, and I really want to utilize this because it also helps with that seasonality, which I didn't really write anything about that in here, but that's been something I wanted to do for a long time too, is just live more in line with the seasons. And so I thought doing something where I could take, and a lot of these are very simple recipes, you probably have all of the ingredients already in your home. There's a lot of vegetarian and vegan recipes because a lot of these come from different countries and stuff. There's meat ones too for when we're not in a fasting season, but I really want to use this in my meal planning. So that's a goal that I have. And that's that. So that's stewardship. And then last one, when it comes to physical environment, I want to cultivate simplicity. We want to declutter the whole room or the whole house room by room. It's a big project, but I actually think we can be done with it within 6 months based on everything we have going on. And then from there, we'll kind of turn our attention to maintenance. So what I want to do is declutter the whole house room by room. And I'm talking like huge declutter, like big project, just complete overhaul. And when I am in each room, after I've decluttered everything, or as I am decluttering things, I want to also be creating a room by room task list for maintenance purposes. What things need fixed in that area of the house. Doesn't mean we'll get to all those this year, but just having a list of the things that need to be done so we can start working on those things. So that's that. That's the big one. I want to have designated chore days. This will just help with everything all around. What I mean by that is like Mondays, I focus on the kitchen and, just the basics of cleaning the kitchen. That doesn't necessarily include this decluttering. It's just basically the weekly chores, right? I want to have designated days. I've always wanted to do that and I've just never stuck to it. It is time. I must. And then we want to get our backyard in better shape. I have had a lot of ideas for our backyard over the 7 years, I guess, we've lived in this house. And they have never come to fruition because I go in without a plan. And so this time around, we just want to get it tidied up, cleaned up. We hopefully want to get a shed as well. And I want to plant I really want to do more like native plants because our sprinkler system is just gone. It's just a mess. So we just want to make it more low maintenance. And in my attempt over the last years to make it more low maintenance, I have made it more high maintenance. So we want to get back on track with that. Okay, so those are my MakseLife goals for this next year in my spring start Hobonichi for 2025. I am very excited about this. I love this so much more than, my first one that I showed at the beginning was fine, but this one is just so much more clean and clear and easy to see things. It just works better for me visually, even rather than the old one, because the other one was just so all over the place. And even though it was fun to highlight the things that I did, I love these dot markers because they are so easy to just go and like check, right? So then I can just check it off as opposed to like, oh, I don't have room to check it off. So I'll just like highlight it and make it look, anyway, I love this. I love it so much. So, okay, with that, I am going to go make dinner. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.